Alright guys, before we jump into today's video, I did want to shout out Fade Me, the merch brand we have here on the channel. We just dropped a bunch of new hoodies, getting ready for football season, fall season, all that good stuff. Go to fademe.store, check it out, support what we're doing here. Now let's get to the video. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Week number 6 in the NFL. We got the Sunday slate to jump into in today's video, with the exclusion of Sunday Night Football. That's its own video on the channel, as is the Thursday night video, as well as the Monday Night Football video as well. Those are all their own videos on the channel. But in today's video, we're gonna go through the core of the Sunday slate here. I'm gonna go through each and every game, give you my lean or leans on the games, money line, spread, total, that type of thing. But all of my final plays, so I'm actually gonna be rolling with, those will be in the pinned comment, so keep an eye on that if you do want to fade me or if you want to ride. Last week, week 5, if I had to sum it up with a sound, we'll use the soundboard here. That was week 5. Started off with a Thursday night sweep. I'm getting ready, feeling good, heading into the weekend, and womp womp city. Bad week 5. We look to bounce back in this week here. I appreciate the real ones sticking true. Screw you guppies out there that watch 1 week and say all your picks stink. I'm wearing a shirt that says fade me. If you think that, that is on you, and you know, you're entitled to your opinion there. A lot of people do feel entitled in the comments, but nonetheless, guys, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. I joke about the guppies. Everyone has been super supportive as we take on this NFL season, and yeah, we're here to own our losses, which last week was a bad week. Let's do better in week number 6, right? We're starting off with the Tennessee Titans taking on the Baltimore Ravens. This is not a home game for the Titans. They are indeed playing overseas at the Hotspur Stadium, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So yeah, early game here, 9:30 Eastern time, 6:30 West Coast time too, which is crazy to think about. But nonetheless, guys, right now Tennessee 4-point dogs here. Total sitting at 41.5 on some books, 42 on most. I do have a lean on the spread here. I like the Ravens. Now, if I were to do this, I may pay a little bit extra juice and buy this to 2.5, minus 2.5, something like that, just so we can have that sort of assurance with the field goal there. But the Ravens are just a better football team. We haven't seen much out of the Titans that can really like prove anything to us. Like, they haven't played consistent. They've had games where they look okay offensively, and then all of a sudden they have games where they drop 3 points against, who was it, the Cleveland Browns, right? They got mollywopped. So nothing really consistent out of them. You have a Baltimore team that just lost to their rival, the Steelers. I think they come out in this one kind of fired up, geeked up, ready to go, and they kind of punched the Tennessee Titans here in the mouth. And this is a good Ravens defense, ranking 2nd in DVOA when it comes to defense, and they're top, I think, either top 10 or 11 or something like that in offensive DVOA. So definitely a better team than you might think, with a 3-2 record. In terms of who they've played, I don't even think their schedule has been all that hard. They've just had some damn bad luck, right? Like, they lose by the last second field goal against Indianapolis, and then Pittsburgh comes back and beats them in a messy game. I think Baltimore bounces back in this one. I'll take them -4. But again, keep an eye on the pinned comment, because we may buy that down to 2.5 if the juice isn't all that crazy. In terms of what we'd be able to get that at right now, -2.5 in terms of just, I guess, a ballpark for you for spread-wise, I would be right around -150, which could be a little bit too much juice. We might consider -3. Keep an eye on the pinned comment for the final line. In terms of the total, I do have a slight lean. I don't think it's going to end up being a play or anything like that, but I'm going to look at the under. I think some of these games, overseas, there have been a little wonky and whatnot, so I'm going to lean towards the under, but I don't think that makes it into the final plays. I'm much more confident in Baltimore winning this one by hopefully more than 4 points, but if not, whatever we end up taking that line at, if it makes it to a final play. Keep an eye on the pinned comment. All right, next up, we have Atlanta at home taking on the Washington Commanders. As of right now, Atlanta sitting at 2.5-point favorites. The total is sitting at 42 points. I like Atlanta in this spot. The only thing that worries me is I don't really think that they've had the hardest of schedules as of late. Or no, just this season overall, I should actually say. Carolina, Green Bay, Detroit, Jacksonville, and Houston, beating Houston last week, which everyone was on Houston, right? I just don't think that they've been totally tested, whereas Washington kind of sort of has been. They've at least played Buffalo and Philly in the schedule, so that's the one sort of thing that could keep this from being a final play. But I think the Atlanta defense is much better than the Commanders. Now, before you jump down my throat and say, oh, this Commanders defense is so good, it really isn't as good as people made it out to be at the beginning of the year, and certainly as people that are still clinging on to that, it really has not been. They are the 26th rated defense when it comes to defensive DVOA, which obviously comparing your opponents and everything like that, like there is something to be said that this could be a defense that, yes, they have have a good defensive line, but other than that, there's nothing really that you can hang your hat on being like, this is a really good defense. That being said, I don't love the offense on either side of this, this game. So I do think that I also lean towards the under. I've seen it at 42.5, which is a little bit more value than most books do. So I'll lean towards the under, but I'll take Atlanta. I think they're the better defense. I think that they have more of an explosive offense, which is crazy to say, but Robinson's been killing it. Obviously a couple guys on the outside as well. Like, this is kind of a sneaky team at times. And again, a pretty momentum driving win last week against Houston. They're winning 21-19. So slight lean, both the spread and the total in this game, but I like Atlanta minus the 2.5 as well as the under 42. All right, next up, we have Chicago taking on Minnesota. Minnesota without Justin Jefferson, obviously going to be a huge hit here. Chicago at home, plus 2.5 spread right now. Total sitting at 44. I like Minnesota, even without Justin Jefferson. I do think that they have, some speed on the outside. Addison's good. TJ Hawkinson, I think he's questionable as well. If he gets to go, I think that could be a good spot. He's going to get a lot of receptions as well. But I just don't necessarily see the Chicago team, just because they've had, I guess you could say, one good game, right? Playing against who was it? The Commanders, right? Last Thursday that they played. Like, I don't think that we should switch up on realizing how bad this team is and how bad the defense is. So even without Justin Jefferson, this is most likely the easiest defensive matchup Minnesota, Kirk Cousins especially, has gone up against this season, and I like their chances here. So I'll lean towards Minnesota here, minus the 2.5 points, even without JJ. And then in terms of the total 44, I think it's a little low. If you watch H2H, guys, the show that I do with Tassos where we battle head to head each and every week, he likes the over in this game. And I'm forced into the under based on the fade me round. If you watch the show, you know what that means. But my personal opinion would be taking the over in this spot. I actually kind of like buying it up to 45.5 for plus money as well. So that has a strong chance to be a final play, guys. Over 45.5, just a 1.5 there. I don't think 44 to 45 is going to make all that big of a deal, and way better odds. But I think a lot of points in this game, just because you have a Kirk Cousins offense that, even without Justin Jefferson, I do think is going to have some success against the Bears. And from the Bears perspective, like, this Minnesota defense is, not a very good defense either. So bad defenses here. I think this could be a lot of points in this game. All right, Cincinnati taking on Seattle here. A lot of people are going to be looking at Seattle this week, and I guess rightfully so. I'm not going to sit here and necessarily argue that, but I am liking the Cincinnati side of things, minus 2.5 on most sportsbooks. I know that says 3, but minus 2.5 is the line as of right now. Total's at 44.5. I think Cincinnati is just starting to get going. They've won 2 of their last 3 weeks here. Yes, it was Arizona last week, but finally the offense seemed to click a little bit after Jamar Chase kind of called out saying, I'm always open. I'm always, open type of thing. Joe Burrow's able to find him. I do think that this offense, it's weird. Everyone was like, oh, the Bengals are notorious slow starters, right? Everyone said that. And then they started slow, and everyone's like, the Bengals stink. It's like, well, if you knew they were going to be slow starters, why is it shocking what's happened so far, right? A 2-3 start to the season. Like, it doesn't surprise me where the Bengals are at. Now, did they look worse than anyone would think? Yes, but, the Joe Burrow injury, all that. But I do still think that this is a team with a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. Like, decent pass rush from the Bengals as well. Give me them minus the 2.5 points. In terms of the total, I don't have anything really strong on this one, but I guess I would slightly lean towards the over. This Seattle, if there's one thing that they're not the best at, they have a really good offense, ranking top 10 DVOA offensively, but they're kind of a middle-of-the-road defense. So if the Bengals can click offensively, I think a lot of points are scored in this game, because we know the Bengals defense, again, defensive line is good, but if Geno Smith and company are going to be able to pick them apart in any regard, it's going to be a lot of times in that secondary with the weapons that Smith has there. So though I think the Bengals are a little underrated, if you look at them rankings wise and stuff, I think that they are better than any of their numbers would indicate here. I still think that there's a decent amount of points scored here, and I think the Bengals kind of pick apart Seattle's defense, and honestly vice versa if the offensive line for Seattle can kind of hold up there. Same thing for the Bengals. All right, guys, before we continue on, I did want to talk to you about OddsJam. If you haven't checked out OddsJam yet, now is your time to do so. 7 days free with the link in the pinned comment. And if you choose to continue and sign up for a subscription, 25% off your first month if you use the code GUYBOSTON. This is such a cool tool, guys, for any type of bettor. This is the positive EV screen right here, and you could see the best prices out there. For example, Giants versus Bills for the first quarter money line. Giants plus 340 over on DraftKings. And again, this is the value. Look at this, average odds under plus 300 on most sportsbooks. So plus 340 on DraftKings, plus 290 on FanDuel, plus 285 on Caesars. You can see the differences like that. Now, obviously, you can still take your chance and I guess go ahead and determine what you want to play. But positive EV betting is a long-term profit strategy. If you don't know what that is, there's plenty of information out there on that if you want to do some research. In terms of talk about profit long-term, they do have an arbitrage betting tool as well. If you don't know what arbitrage betting is, you can pretty much use multiple sports books to take both sides of a bet, aka you win no matter what. Here's an example right here. Total points in this EuroLeague basketball game. Over 172.5 on DraftKings for plus 255. On BetMGM, you can take the under at minus 250. If you put $100 on DraftKings and put 253.57 on BetMGM, you're guaranteed a profit of 1.43 there, $1.43. No matter what the outcome is, it is a really, really cool tool here. I've been hammering arbitrages as of late. And they also have a Prize Picks, Underdog, Parlay Play, all the apps. They have an optimizer for this as well. If you don't know what that is, you pretty much have all the Prize Picks options available, and they go through and analyze the percent chance to hit based on sports books odds. Really, really cool tool. Multiple tools on this platform. Go check out OddsJam, guys. Again, link in the pinned comment and use code GUYBOSTON when signing up. You get 25% off your first month. Now let's get back to this Sunday slate. Cleveland taking on San Francisco, and I do lean towards San Francisco here. Do I love the spread minus 8.5? No. Do I think that the 49ers are due for like a what just happened type of a loss? Yes. So if you are taking the flyer on the Browns this week, I actually don't really hate it, but I just think it's silly. It's too risky to bet against the 49ers right now. 42-10 last week against Dallas, and that was supposed to be one of the harder teams that they had played all year, right? And they mopped the floor with them. So until further notice, I do think this is just I'm going to lean towards San Francisco no matter what the line is. Whether or not we make that a final play, still TBD. But again, guys, if you are on the Cleveland side of things, like, yes, you're kind of hoping for the letdown spot for San Francisco. I just think that's a little bit too risky here. The total is way down at 37. To me, it makes a hell of a lot of sense why it's all the way down there. So I do understand that. But doesn't it seem just too low? Am I taking the bait by looking at the over here? The 49ers could cover this line themselves like they did last week, and that was against a better defense in the Cowboys than we're looking at from the Browns here. Now, are the Browns a good defense? Yeah, they're actually the #1 defensive ranked team when it comes to DVOA. I just think there's a lot more playmakers and whatnot on Dallas. So argument to be made that, they just played a worse defense than the Browns, but I don't know. Eye test, man. Something about this Dallas defense does seem legit, even though they've kind of played bad teams so far. So I'm not knocking the Browns defense. I just think that if I should phrase it like this, so you guys don't give me hate mail for saying that the Dallas defense is better than Browns. If the 49ers were able to, which they were, put up 40 plus points against Dallas, I still think they can do that against the Browns as well. So whether or not you think Dallas is a better defense than the Browns, or the Browns are a better defense than the Cowboys, right? Who cares? Argument for another time. I do still think that this offense for San Francisco is that good. So I'm going to lean towards the over. I don't know if we pull the trigger on that, though. Again, this may just be a game where it stays at leans. Houston hosting New Orleans here. Total sitting at 42, and that's where my eyes immediately go. I like the under in this spot. This is a legitimate New Orleans defense. Now, the Patriots stink. We know that. They're my home team. Blessed for many years watching the Patriots, but they do stink, right? And New Orleans just whooped them 34-0. Houston coming off a loss against Atlanta here, but I think that Atlanta defense, only being able to score 19 points against them, Atlanta's a good defense. They're facing an even better defense today, this game against New Orleans here. So I think that this one's gonna stick right around that same number where, it's a 19-16 type of weird type of game. I don't really have much of a spread lean here. Maybe in this case, I just look at Houston getting 1.5 at home, but I think this is a strong under game. 42. You can get at 42.5 over on FanDuel right now as well, so an extra half point there of value. But keep an eye on the pinned comment. This definitely has a strong chance of being a final play because you have a Texans team that, middle of the road defensively, they're not all that great, but even their offense, even though people are very excited about some of the young guys on their offense, including Stroud, right? They're still a middle of the road ranked DVOA team offensively, 15th right now. I believe last week they were like 11th or whatever. So they did drop quite a bit there, but this is really kind of backing that Saints defense. 5th overall when it comes to defensive DVOA, and their offense I really don't buy into all that much either, especially with Carr in and out, getting injured, that type of thing. I mean, just give me defense in this game. Let Houston kind of step up to the plate and let the Saints keep doing what they have been doing. I'll take the under 42 or 42.5 if we can get it. Jacksonville taking on Indianapolis here. These two teams played opening day. Jacksonville won 31-21, and I think Jacksonville's even better now than they were then. 2 wins in a row, beating Atlanta, when they were in London, and then playing Buffalo again overseas, beating them last week, which is pretty crazy. I did not see that one coming, but 25-20 was that final score, and they were up big for a lot of that game as well. But nonetheless, guys, I like Jacksonville again. I think they're a better team than they were. -4, I'll take that. I think they win this game by a touchdown. I think that their defense is coming along as well, just cracked into the top 10 defensively when it comes to their DVOA ranking. So give me Jacksonville in this one. I think that Indianapolis has a lot going on right now. Richardson's getting hurt. Jonathan Taylor coming back. I do think that there's plenty going on with their team that just is sort of going to take some time to mesh and sit right. And they're coming off a win. I don't really think that they win 2 in a row here, especially with all that stuff that I just mentioned. So I'll take Jacksonville. In terms of the total, don't love much in this spot. This could be a grinded out slow game, or we could see what we saw week number 1, which is a 52-point total. So I don't have much of a lean here. If anything, if I had a gun to my head, I would go under, but I doubt that becomes any sort of a final play. I like Jacksonville on the spread here a lot more than I do anything else. Miami taking on Carolina, and I won't do what I did last week. We took Carolina plus 9.5 against the Lions, and how'd that work out? Lions whooped them, so there's no reason why Miami shouldn't be able to whoop them. Now, do I lay 13.5 points? Probably not. This probably just stays off the final sheet altogether. But I'm not leaning Carolina, so I'll lean and I'll lay the points in a lean. Do I actually put my money on it? Probably not, guys. But of course, the one time that I look at this, Carolina's gonna go out there and cover somehow. Like just our luck with betting this team. But yeah, probably won't touch them again with a 10-foot pole. I'll lean Miami here. Total sitting at 47. Even if Carolina's offense ain't all that great, I think any total under 50 from now until further notice, when you're looking at this Miami team, I do think is worth considering. Even last week, this line would have come very close to hitting, and that's with the Giants absolutely stinking. Like, if Miami's going to give you 30 plus on average here, I think that, if the other team can go out there and put up some points on the board, you have a good chance of getting to 50 points. So again, Miami here in terms of a lean. I like the over as well. It does kind of stink that Miami's going to have to carry most of the offensive workload, most likely, but I'll still lean towards the over until we see 50 plus numbers for this team, no matter who they're playing, really. All right, Las Vegas hosting New England, and sound the psycho alert alarm because, and this isn't a biased pick, I told you I'm a Patriots fan, I don't think they're very good, but I do think that if there's going to be a spot where they can win and capitalize on, sort of Bill Belichick maybe returning to form, because he hasn't been all that great either, I do think that this is the spot. Jimmy Garoppolo, ex-Patriot. Jacoby Myers, ex-Patriot. Josh McDaniels, the coach, ex-Patriots coach. I think there's going to be a lot of, Bill Belichick knows what's coming. He sees it, recognizes it. If not, then, Patriots should be canceled for the rest of the year because they have been so bad to watch. They've been outscored like you read about as of late. So I do think that this is a crazy pick. We sounded the psycho alert alarm, but I'll take the 3 points here. New England +3. I think they win this game outright. I took this as a -2.5 play, an alternate Alti-Ev showing out on H to H, because I just do think that this is a spot where if the Patriots win any game this year, it's going to be this spot, just because I do think that they have the advantage when it comes to game planning against guys that they're very, very familiar with. But Bill Belichick, like, there's reports about him being fired. Like, picture that. Would you ever think you'd hear Bill Belichick and fired in the same sentence? That's crazy. So who knows what this Patriots team is, whether or not I can actually sack up and have the cojones to put money on this, still TBD there. But I do for now lean +3 here. Total sitting at 41 right now. I have no clue if this is going to be a high scoring game, low scoring game. I'd like to think it's an under, but that just seems too easy, right? Like, you have a Raiders offense that isn't the best of, they're yet to score over 20 points. And then we know the Patriots, they've scored 3 points through the last 2 weeks. So it's like too easy to think under, right? So I'm kind of like switching it up, maybe fading myself here, but I'll lean towards the under, but I doubt I'm going to be pulling the trigger on that. Like, I can't have 2 plays in this game, right? And if I am doing anything in this game, it's going to be Patriots +3, which again will sound it is crazy, is a psycho move. But let's go ahead and move on here. Tampa Bay coming off the bye, hosting Detroit here. They're getting 3 points at home, so home dogs. Total sitting at 42. This thing opened up, if I'm not mistaken, 45.5, so it's cruising down right now, and I understand why. If I'd caught that right away, I would have taken the under. You have 2 really, really good defenses going up against one another. Who's the better defense? I'm actually not even quite sure. I think these are two top tier defenses in the league right now. I don't really want to put them head to head in terms of who's better, but I still like the under 42 right now. I wish it was 45.5, no kidding, right? But I'll still take the under here. And then in terms of a side, I can't look past Detroit right now. Like, they look pretty good. I think that they have what I would trust as a slightly better offense. They do have a bunch of injuries to note, whether or not those guys play and whatnot. Keep an eye on the injury report, but I do still think that they just have a better offense than we've seen from the Bucs, which I can't believe I'm saying that. Ask me 2 weeks ago, I'd probably say the Bucs have the better offense. They have more names and whatnot, but this Detroit offense looking pretty good, ranked 4th offensively here when it comes to DVOA. So take that for what it's worth, but I'll take the Lions in this spot. I think that they have a really good defense and a slightly better offense. So -3 there. I like it. If this was 2.5, I'd be all over it because obviously that half point's crucial in football. But yeah, give me the under as my main lean in this spot. It's going to be tough to pull the trigger on 42 or 42.5 if we know we could have, if we were quicker, gotten it at 45.5. But yeah, Detroit and the under in this one. Rams, Cardinals here. Rams touchdown favorites at home. I like that spot. I don't really believe in this Cardinals team, but what I will say is another spot, just like the last game we talked about. I wish that we got the total line here earlier because it opened up at 46. It's now at 49, and you have two of the poorer defenses in the league here. Rams bottom 5 defense DVOA, and then Cardinals bottom 3 defense DVOA, but two decent offenses, two top 10 offenses when it comes to a DVOA offensive perspective. So I think there's a lot of points here. Does it get to 50? Oh, I wish we got it at 46. I'll still lean towards the over in this one. And again, I think the Rams are a much better team, just overall scheme-wise for sure. And I'll trust Stafford and Kupp getting back and all that. I'll trust them over the Cardinals here. So yes, laying a touchdown's tough. Another spot where I think this opened up at 6 or 6.5, which early bird gets the worm. If you have the over 46 and the Rams -6, you're probably sitting pretty because these lines have moved a decent amount. And the Rams, though they lost to Philadelphia, like they were moving the ball decently last week. Kupp getting involved, Puka Nacua. It's cool that both these guys can kind of coexist. Only scoring 2 touchdowns, that's tough. But the Eagles, good team, right? So I expect them to bounce back here against the Cardinals. All right, Jets and the Phillies for the last game of the video. Again, Sunday Night Football. That is going to be its own video. We will break down that game. That is the Buffalo Bills taking on the New York Giants. And then Monday Night Football, the Chargers and Cowboys. That will also be its own video. So keep an eye out for that. And then each week we do Thursday Night Football as its own video as well. But we got the Jets taking on Philadelphia here. It seems like a trap. You have the undefeated Eagles here going up against this 2-3 team in the Jets. And we just saw the Jets win against Denver, kind of coming from behind, but then they held the lead for a lot of that game, but keeping this game really close to Kansas City. So I think the Eagles win this game, but that's not really, breaking any news or anything like that. I don't know if I'm comfortable laying 7 points. If this is 7.5, I tell you right away, I'm not laying it. So I guess that 7 number is pretty crucial. So I'll lean Phillies for now, or Philadelphia for now. I don't think this makes it into the final play. What I do like is going to be the under in this spot. I don't think the Jets are really going to be able to contribute all that much offensively, and the Eagles are going to be able to chew up clock, running the ball with Swift and everything like that. So I will lean towards the under here. The Jets defense, I do think, is good enough that there's not going to be these big chunk plays from Philadelphia, but that defense is losing steam pretty quickly, right? So they're going to be just bad enough that I think that the Eagles will be able to move the ball on the ground and chew clock, but just good enough that there's not going to be this 70-yard breakout touchdown run that, puts points up within seconds on the board. So I like the under in this spot as my main lean. Again, a little confused on where we come out from a spread perspective, because I do think 7 is right in that range of the Jets could keep this to a touchdown game. They totally could, especially if it's a low-scoring game. So little iffy there, but I think the Eagles are so much better that that is the direction that I lean in towards the Eagles. And guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. If you did enjoy it, go ahead and smash that subscribe button if you are new. Hit that like button as well. Let's run up the likes in today's video. And comment 23 to let me know that you made it this far into the video. I love seeing who the real ones are and sussing out the guppies, right? If you're watching right now, you are a true real one. You're supporting, you're helping out the growth of this channel, and leaving a comment of 23 does that just as well. So go ahead and comment 23, and yeah, we got plenty of videos coming out as of late. We're putting out so much content, guys. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. All right, peace out.